ballots have been distributed accordingly, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. We'll move right into the public portion. Do we have any speakers? We do have some speakers. Mr. Roy Reynolds.
Good morning. You should have a handout that I passed out. My name is Roy Reynolds. I'm a volunteer working with New York Citizens Audit. New York Citizens Audit is a not-for-profit organization. I'm not an official spokesperson. Any opinions expressed are my own. I'm also working with other organizations, including Smart Elections and Let New York Vote. What brings me here today is an article in last week's Newsday by Dan Janison. You should have a copy in front of you entitled Daily Point, Long Island Expects New Ballot Devices in 2025. It discusses changing over to touchscreen voting machines in both Nassau and Suffolk counties, like using an ATM machine to vote. The article reports that Suffolk County plans on spending over $34 million to convert to this type of system. Last year, I made a FOIL request and was told that Suffolk County had purchased over 400 Dominion Image Cast Evolution voting machines, also known as ICE machines, and we're planning on buying more. These Dominion ICE machines are similar to the ES&S ExpressVote XL machines that are planned in Nassau County. You should have pictures of those in the handout I gave you. These types of machines eliminate hand-marked paper ballots, have inherent security risks, and create problems for voters. Regardless, it appears we might be moving ahead with them. A couple of problems that leap out. Cost. These machines cost more than 3 times the typical scanners, and you have to buy more of them. Long lines. These machines cause long lines and wait times. These were the same machines used in Georgia elections that cause wait times of up to 11 hours. These machines become a choke point for voting, since each voter must wait until the previous voter enters his or her vote on the touchscreen, prints the ballot, reviews the ballot, and scans the ballot. Any problems with the ballot or machine backs up the line even more. Other problems are described on Smart Elections website, smartelections.us. So considering the problems, how did these machines get approved by New York State Board of Elections for use in New York State? Dominion and ES&S are companies that have powerful lobbies in Albany, which have meddled in the legislative process. They have stifled laws that would improve security measures, have required hand-marked paper ballots, and preventing the use of barcodes for casting votes. One such law pending before the state legislature is A5934B, but it's been blocked for 2 years. In the meantime, the machines are being sold to unsuspecting local boards of election, like Suffolk County. In any event, we would appreciate some transparency as to what the plan is for Suffolk and Nassau counties. With the all-in-one voting machines, will the all-in-one voting machines be the primary means of voting in Suffolk County? We're willing to meet anytime, any place to discuss this. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Reynolds. I think their reasoning was that with this new voting coming up, the ballot will be like 10 feet long with everyone running at the same time. So that's what they're thinking, is if this does go through, a touchscreen is easier than, I don't know how many ballots you would need. I think we're a little bit away from this, but believe me, we will all take what you say with consideration and look into it.
It's a major security problem. And if you want the experts to come in and discuss this with you, I have some connections. They're willing to come in and discuss it. These are people who are very knowledgeable in this issue. And there's a lawsuit pending now to stop the ES&S machines from being used. They've already been approved. Monroe County, Erie County, and now Nassau County is looking at using these machines.
All right, thank you very much. All right, we have one more speaker, Susan Greenhoff.
Good morning, Chair Trotta, Vice Chair Kennedy, and members of the committee. Thank you for the opportunity to provide comments this morning. My name is Susan Greenhoff. I'm the Senior Advisor for Election Security at Free Speech for People. We are a national, nonpartisan, not-for-profit legal advocacy organization that's committed to protecting democracy for all voters and access for the ballot to all citizens, and to have that ballot counted as cast. I had actually signed up online and I thought that my card was in, and apparently you can have use computers for some things, but sometimes it's also good to have paper. So I'm here today to speak in opposition of budget item 1451 from the Board of Elections, seeking nearly $40 million for new touchscreen voting machines, as many other people have. Currently, Suffolk County uses hand-marked paper ballots, which is recognized by computer scientists, and election officials, as well as advocacy groups on both sides of the political spectrum and all sides of the political spectrum as the most secure, reliable, accessible, efficient, and trustworthy voting system we can have today. We have sent the committee a joint letter from Free Speech for People, Common Cause New York, and the Long Island Progressive Coalition, and I have more copies if people need them. Our current machines are 14 years old, and the Board of Elections is not wrong to want to replace them, but our current scanners, accessible ballot marking devices, election management systems, poll books, et cetera, can be replaced with updated equipment and software for less than half the cost of the proposed touchscreen machines. Not only are these more expensive on the front end, they are significantly more expensive to run elections over the long term because you have to have increased storage for these machines. They require climate control, storage, security, as well as power for each machine while they're in storage. They're quite large. They take up a lot of space, and we're going to need more machines because you need more than just one scanner per election district. You're going to need multiple because each person needs to go up and interact with the machine. They also will require programming from the vendor ongoing for each election, which adds up, as well as licensing the software, because even if you buy or lease the machines, you don't own the software, it belongs to the vendor. But the cost is not the only problem with the machines. If the machines were superior, but the cost was more, we would support their adoption, but they are far inferior. First of all, they record and count your vote from an unreadable barcode. This is the ballot summary card that prints out from this expensive machine. This is from Pennsylvania. It has only 5 contests on it. Your vote choices are recorded in these barcodes up here, and that's what the machine counts when it scans. It doesn't have anything to do with the text for what you can see. As I said, this has only five contests on it. When our ballot gets much longer, it's going to be much harder to fit all of this on the ballot card, and that's going to be an open question as to whether that can happen. It's also an open question whether or not, I'm almost done. Should I keep going? Okay. There is an open question as to whether it is legal to record votes in New York State in a barcode, because our law requires that you be able to verify how your vote is counted. These machines also have a checkered history of failures in Pennsylvania. In Monmouth County, they actually seated a wrong candidate who had to be retrieved.
Okay.
I welcome your questions.
I'll stop you, but I would ask you a question, so
Okay,
you can
sorry.
go on after
Go ahead.
that. I read about the thing, and that was more of a programming issue than anything, which is, what about the...
Monmouth County or Northampton County, Pennsylvania?
I don't know. What about the Windows 10 thing you mentioned the other day?
I'm sorry, and I misstated it in the meeting the other day. It is not Windows 10, it is Windows 10 Enterprise LTSC, which that is going to end of life 15 months after. So it's not going to be end of life, October 2025. It's going to be January 12th, 2027, according to Microsoft.
Well, I was told that it doesn't run the system. It's its own proprietary computer system, and that Windows 10...
That's the operating system that runs the election management system.
Now, is that what actually runs the machine?
So the machines need to be programmed by an election management system, which is in the county office. And that also is what aggregates the vote totals at the end of the night. It's an incredibly important part of the system. So you have an election management system that is coupled with the ExpressVote machine. Because they interact, they have to be compatible. The software needs to be able to understand each other. So the election management system is where you program the ExpressVote XL so that it knows when you touch here, it means the vote for candidate so-and-so or not, and then prints it out in the barcode and whatever is in the text. At the end of the night, when the totals come off of the machines from the USB stick, they get aggregated at the election management system too, and that's where the results are printed out, and you get the results reports, which tell you who won. So this election management system is incredibly important part of the overall constellation of machines.
But where are you getting, like, I don't know if you know what you're talking about, but you sound like you know what you're talking about. Where do you get your information from?
So the New York State NISTAC reports did not include the commercial off-the-shelf software, which is the Microsoft software. It is published in the U.S. Election Assistance Commission. They publish their test reports on the website. So this system has been also examined by the U.S. Federal Election Assistance Commission for federal certification. New York State does not require federal certification. It is something that is offered to states if you wish to incorporate federal certification.
And this is not federally certified, this machine?
No, but New York State incorporates the New York State certification requirements into our certification requirements. So they're aligned. They're basically, we have that part duplicative, and then we have additional ones in New York State.
What's your thoughts on the, because there's only be every other year elections that
I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
what's your thoughts on, you want to use the paper ballot, but I think the Board of Elections thinking is the paper ballot will be 3 feet long because it'll be all these, it won't be just the county people, it'll be the state, everybody. So you're going to have a ballot that's literally 3 feet long.
I have not done the analysis of the spacing and the font, but it's not going to fit on this thing either. That's for sure. This doesn't.
Legislator Kennedy has a question.
Hi, thank you for coming out again. I am far from a computer expert, but what I'm going to ask you is this election management Windows program. Our obligation would then be to make sure in the contract of purchase for this system that it would include the update. We don't control really whether or not we're going to purchase this. This is decided by the Board of Elections, both sides. But wouldn't that do away with that by putting into a contract that the update is included so that we get it more than 17 months worth of operation?
You could require that they upgrade it, and then they will have to go through a new certification process if they were to update it. Mm-hmm. I mean, I encourage, like I've testified in Montana, and I encourage them to do that very thing, mm-hmm. because ES&S was there selling their system with Windows 10 out there. And Windows 7 is still used, unfortunately, in a lot of places. So yes, I don't think, that is one of the drawbacks of this machine. It is not the most significant drawback. There are many, many other problems with the machines. And to Chair Trotta's question about the programming issue, there are multiple problems with these machines. They have had multiple failures in Pennsylvania. They've had multiple failures in other states, and in Monmouth County, New Jersey, that I mentioned that there was this issue. These were not programming errors. These are inherent architecture problems in the architecture of the way the machines are designed.
Do you know how long this particular model has been used? How long have they been in existence?
I think I'd have to guess. I would rather not guess.
Okay, because my response back to that would be everything I've experienced that is computerized takes a while to be perfect.
Yes.
There. So if it's 10 years versus if it's a year, that makes a big difference.
Yeah.
In there. But we'll have to check on that too. Thank you.
You must have a lot of free time to know all about this stuff.
This is my full-time job, but I'm a Suffolk County resident. So
If you don't mind me asking.
We are a nonprofit, national, nonpartisan, not-for-profit legal advocacy organization that is committed to protecting democracy and protecting the right to vote. We have a program specifically to advocate.
We're going to give you your own month later. Nonprofit month later.
In our mission to make sure that their democracy is protected, that includes making sure we have safe, secure, trustworthy voting equipment.
Legislator Thorne, who is the expert on the panel, who's not even on the panel.
Well, yeah, I'm actually not on this committee. I appreciate the latitude to ask a couple of questions. How would you quantify, so we have, if you know about the setup in Suffolk County Board of Elections, equal amounts, both Republican and Democrat commissioners, they're understaffed, all bipartisanly agree that this is a machine for them. Why do you think that might be? If it's one side or the other, I could say, all right, maybe there's a question here. But when bipartisanly, two sets of commissioners and their staff say that this is what they want, why would you think that they would do that? And it might be an opinion question. And by the way, I'm in no way trying to argue with you, because there are some things that I simply don't agree with you on. But why do you think that would be if both sides are asking for it?
No, I think that's a very fair question. ES&S has a very strong lobby. They've been working very, very hard to sell these machines across the state. They worked very, very hard to get them certified, even though there is this question about whether it's legal to record votes in a barcode in New York State. It's actually just been made illegal in Georgia, and it's been banned for a while now in Colorado. So that's the direction that people are going, and there is a lawsuit about it. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense to me because it is completely illogical. The argument that they made about the ballot marking stations doesn't make sense to me either, because those things are smaller than an ExpressVote XL, and they fold. And they don't require climate-controlled storage. They don't require security. They don't require power. So the fact that they would cost so much to store those machines sounds terrible, like a very, very bad business decision to me. But to think that these things are going to be cheaper to store is completely illogical. So most of these, how could it be cheap? I mean, how can it be cheaper to get a climate-controlled storage space and that has power for each device, because the batteries will drain and die if you don't keep them powered up, which is what they're doing in Philadelphia. It just doesn't make sense to me.
So the power concern thing is always, if I may, a power concern thing, climate control is already present in those warehouses. I will tell you that in the last major presidential election, we had around 50% voter turnout for the presidential election, and those were locking up machines with lines down the block. My concern is that having worked there for 6 years and see how those current machines lock up, we must make a change in this county,
Yeah,
especially
I don't
if we go to
disagree.
even later elections.
Sorry.
I'm not so sure about the storage issue because they do lock into each other. And trust and believe that I went and looked at these machines along with several other legislators, and I was not nice with my questioning because of some of the concerns that I know were out there. So as far as the storage issue, it actually saves storage compared to two tabulators. These new machines also, as my understanding, will be poll explicit, not ED explicit like the old machines are. So any election district within that polling place would be able to vote on any of the machines present. And it also eliminates the needs for additional privacy boosts, which costs this county an absorbent amount of money to ship during a polling place and store during the year on off time. So these are some of the good things, but I will certainly, again, I'm not a member of the committee, but I am one of 18 votes. I'll look into it. I'm just not sure all of the concerns are valid, but I'll address each one of them.
I would be happy to meet with you. And as somebody else spoke, we work with computer scientists, with experts that have looked at these machines. Professor Andrew Appel from Princeton is somebody who knows this very, very well, because these machines are also in New Jersey. And I'm sure he'd be happy to talk to you. He just testified in Pennsylvania about these machines. So we'd be very happy to I'm happy to have these conversations more and learn about the concerns and see, if we have answers or information regarding them.
And so you're aware, I mean, voting concerns are always important to every one of us up here, regardless of the party they represent. But I need to cut through some of the extra stuff that maybe be added into one side of the argument or the other to get the facts of the matter. And it is always concerning to me, or not concerning to me, when two different parties, very powerful parties in this county, say that this is what we want, this is what we researched. So, it just, we could talk more on it. It's fine. The last time I tried to communicate, there was some conversations in the audience and I never responded to them. So, but I'm more than happy to communicate with you further.
Thank you. If I may, I just want to add, though, that though the parties are both in agreement on this, the advocacy groups for the citizens that want to make sure that our votes are counted correctly are in agreement. As I mentioned, we're on this letter with Common Cause and Long Island Progressive Coalition. The Federalist Society and Freedom Works have taken the position that hand-marked paper ballots are preferable. These are, diametrically opposed on most issues. But when it comes to this, hand-marked paper ballots are it's what is recognized by the election officials and most election officials in science. I'm not, where Suffolk is, I don't understand.
And incidentally, one of the questions I asked is, how do we audit it after the election? And they are still auditable, where you can pull out the ballots and make sure they're matching what the machine's telling you. And that was one of my biggest concerns. How do we audit it? How do we make sure that machine recorded the vote that John Q. Public voted? But, I don't want to tie up their committee too long. We can have a separate conversation on this because I do want to hear your concerns. But this county has no choice but to replace those voting machines as quickly as possible. They are been destitute for a while, more or less paperweights at this point, and to go to another scanning device when we are looking at maybe 3 or 4 page longs or 2 or 3 page long ballots per election cycle, because of even your elections that may be coming to us, it's a concern because they will lock up those machines in moments after the polls open. And then we have a problem with voters not being able to vote. That is never acceptable.
If I may just answer to that comment to that. If the scanners lock up and people can still vote because they can continue to hand mark the ballots and then collect them in a secure ballot ballot container, locked, secured, chain of custody maintained, etc. But if these machines break down, which they have done, people can't vote. That's when you can't vote, because you need these machines to make your mark. There's the marking and then there's the counting.
No, I get that. When your machine breaks down, you go into the emergency ballot box, secured, and then it's opened bipartisanly and hopefully scanned by the end of the night before it leaves. So there is a procedure in place. But again, I don't want to tie up too much more of the committee. You and I can have a conversation. If you want to have a real conversation about it, I'm more than happy to do that.
Please, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Legislative Flattery?
Yes. One, I do appreciate you all coming down here and educating us on this question. And like many of my colleagues, we did go out to the Board of Elections, get a demonstration. And a couple of things I did see that I appreciated about the new machine was there still was a paper trail to audit if we needed to. Also, about the storage, they were really pointing out how the storage will be much less square footage and how that's going to save them a lot, because the term they use, they nest into each other, where these other things are taking them a lot more room. They need a lot less square footage for the storage. I did like all that. But is there one, besides our machines we have now, which are coming outdated and problematic, is there a certain brand, maybe I missed what you said, a company that you're recommending, like the 3 that we should be looking at?
We're vendor agnostic. We will not advocate for one specific vendor or the other. We're nonprofit. We don't do stuff like that. But there are multiple types of machines from different vendors that provide the scanners updated with newer software, with software that's not, older, that are available that the county could choose from.
And so your concern with this one is, one thing is really more the paper receipt that we saw, you rather it be totally separate from the machine as something private markings on it.
No, our concern is putting the computer between the voter and making the mark of their vote choice, because this is the record of your vote. This is such an important part of the whole process, that you want that record to be done correctly. You want to know that your record is the record of your vote, that once that's going to go and get counted and then maybe recounted and hopefully audited, is going to be recorded correctly. And the best way to do that is to put the pen to paper yourself on the paper ballot. When you put a computer in between, now you have to worry that the machine could be misprogrammed, as they have been, that they could have software bugs, that they could malfunction, or that they could, God forbid, be hacked. In addition, with the paper record that you get, you can't verify that your vote was recorded correctly because it's in this barcode. Even though there's text here, this may be used for the recount or the audit. It doesn't matter what's counted, it comes out of this, and that's what's certified on election night, and that's what's going to determine who wins, unless somebody petitions for a court-ordered recount from the text.
Okay, so your concern, if I'm hearing you right, is if we ever did have to audit, they're probably just going to read the barcode instead of reading the name, so that you and me think is there, and it could be a computer glitch or something, accidentally or purposely read the barcode being different than the words there.
It could be, and that happened in Northampton, Pennsylvania. They actually found that the barcode was recording the votes one way and the text was coming out a different way.
Okay, and for just to remind you, you probably do know this, today we were just voting for the public hearing, which will be next Tuesday at 2:00.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Legislative Bontempi?
Thank you, Chairman. I am no longer on this committee either, so thank you for allowing me. But you pretty much answered my question. My question was, how can we verify who we actually voted for? And it's frightening what you just explained. So I don't really know what to say.
Yeah, and if just to that comment, to that, our organization with Common Cause has written a letter to the New York State Board of Elections because we believe that New York State law actually does not allow recording votes in barcodes, because we have a requirement in state law that the election system needs to have what is the vote. Is it either the barcode or is it the text? You have to determine when it's certified, is it which one it is or what it is in the system. And it also says that the voter needs to be able to verify the vote. So if it's actually the barcode, you can't verify that. And they basically kind of punted that question.